It is now 6:08. Can we please start the meeting? Oh, we don't have screens yet? Sorry.
If you are a board member, please be sure to unmute your microphone when speaking. The public who did not register in advance can watch the live broadcast on the city's YouTube channel. For live Spanish translation services, please dial 720-386-9023 and use code 104091. Habrá interpretación disponible en español en vivo por teléfono. Llama al 720-386-9023 e ingresa el código de conferencia 104091.
I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order of the Planning Commission. First order of business, the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I please have a roll call for attendance, please?
Of course, Board Member Van Dyke,
Present?
Board Member Douglas,
Present.
and Board Member Japp,
Present.
Vice Chairperson
Present.
Gilchrist. Thank you, and Chairperson Amador.
Present.
Thank you, we have a quorum.
First order of business, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the meeting minutes for last month.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
We got a second from Commissioner Japp. Can we get a roll call vote?
Board Member Van Dyke,
Abstain? I wasn't present.
Board Member Japp,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Biltoff,
Yes.
Chairperson Amador,
Yes.
and Board Member Douglas.
With that being said, Commissioner Douglas was not here, but if he's familiar and has read through the meeting minutes, because he was here, he is able to vote. Commissioner Douglas, are you able to vote if you reviewed the meeting minutes? So you have reviewed, and your vote is yes? Commissioner Douglas votes yes. So you have 4 yeses, 1 abstain. Motion to pass the meeting minutes for last month is approved. All right, first order of business. I would like to remove, can I get a motion to remove agenda item number 1 by a commissioner, please?
I move to remove item number 1 from the agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second?
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
And actually, it's
Of course, Commissioner Van Dyke,
Yes?
Commissioner Douglas,
yes.
Commissioner Japp,
Yes.
Chairperson Biltoff,
Yes.
and Chairperson Amador.
Yes. Now, next order of business, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended, please?
I move that we move forward with the agenda as amended.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Of course, Board Member Van Dyke,
Yes?
Board Member Douglas,
Yes.
Board Member Japp,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Biltoff,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Amador.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can move into, let me have actually the city attorney present our next, it's really not a case. How do we do this?
So your sole remaining item on the agenda this evening is the presentation 23-493, the Commerce City 2045 Comprehensive Plan, at the conclusion of which you will be asked to make a recommendation with regard to that plan.
Yes, thank you. So can we move into that portion of the meeting, because I don't see that on here, so yes.
We're good.
Yes. All right, because we are experiencing technical difficulties, I'm going to lean into Jennifer Jones to give us the process of how we will be seeing the Planning Commission presentation of the comprehensive plan.
Yes, sir, thank you. So I'm going to give just a little bit of background, and then if it is all right with the commission, in order to accommodate some of our challenges tonight, we'll have you all move down here so that you can see the big screen, and then after the presentation, you all are welcome to move back to your seats to ask questions, et cetera, through the microphones. But before you move or get settled, I just wanted to give a little bit of background, a little bit of reminder about where we are with the comp plan, and then I'll turn it over to our consultant who's going to present via Zoom. So we think that's working. We're going to cross our fingers. So just as a reminder, the comp plan project has been going on for a number of years now. We are very excited to have it before you tonight for a recommendation. It has been a long time coming. There were a few challenges put our way, some changes in city staff, worldwide pandemic, a few things. And so it has taken a little bit longer than we originally expected, but we have adapted, and we're actually really proud of the product that we've gotten to. We've done a lot of outreach and engagement and things like that, so we really believe this is a community-driven plan. And we're excited to hear your thoughts on it tonight. As you all know, it has been before you a number of times in various capacities, right? We've had several study sessions, we've had some joint meetings with some other groups, council, CACs, folks like that, over the past couple of years. And so Mr. Kamak, who's not here tonight, was at the joint study session with council just last week. And because I did want to just speak a little bit about the timing real quick before we move into the presentation. Again, this has been going on for a very long time, but again, with good reason, and I think we have a better product because of it. We were given some timelines early in the year and have worked backwards to sort of get to where we are tonight. And so therefore, we are before you tonight to present a draft of the comp plan and look for a recommendation from you all. Throughout the summer, for about the past 6 to 8 weeks, this draft has been floating around the city, so to speak. It has been available on the website. We've had a number of, we have been out on a roadshow, so to speak, with it at the Music in the Park, presenting it, answering questions, chatting with the development community, presenting to, again, the Technical Advisory Committee, Citizens Advisory Committee, Staff Working Group, Council, and yourselves. And so the most recent event was, again, Monday night. We heard sort of the last comments and revisions, if you will, from council. So the draft in your packet, this is really what I wanted to get to. The draft in your packet is the draft that has been out there for 6 to 8 weeks. The consultant tonight is going to go over very specifically the revisions that have been made that are in the updated final version. I hesitate to call it final. It's not final till it's adopted, right? But the newest version, which will be presented to council on August 21st, it is hot off the press, and we will be able to bring it up tonight so that you all can see it. We do apologize that it wasn't in your packet. It simply wasn't ready right after with the packet deadlines and the Monday meeting with council. So, but the consultant will go over exactly the types of things that have been added, revised, things like that, so that you all know exactly what you're looking at. Very long-winded, I apologize for that. But I just wanted you to know where we're coming from, what you have in your packet. The consultant's gonna outline sort of how it came to be, and then we will be available, staff and the consultant will both be available to answer any questions. Again, we can pull up the newest version and see anything in that, and then we would be looking for a recommendation from you all this evening if possible. So with that, if you all are willing to find some different seats so that you can see the big screen, I will turn it over to our consultant team, Halziel Levine, and they will be presenting an overview of this project for you.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes, I was just about to ask. Josh, give us just a minute to get resituated.
Sounds good.
I can move and you all can sit here if you'd like. Or right over there. It just has a microphone. I can move.
Sit up here, please.
There and there.
Move this other chair over there for you. There's no reason to sit back there.
Yep.
I can grab another chair for Dallas too, so.
Sorry, it's a crazy night. Look, we'll just do that. There we go. There's a couple more seats.
You don't want to take your chairs, but okay.
Josh, okay, I think everyone's ready and you are welcome to go ahead and get started.
Okay, great. Well, and Jennifer, everyone can see my screen, right? Yes. Okay, I heard a yes out there. So yeah, thank you all for having me tonight. And Jennifer encapsulated a lot of what I wanted to say. But again, yeah, it's an honor to be here at this point with you all. We're just like Jennifer said, we're about a year over timeline. It has taken longer than expected, but I think our firm and our partner firms are in total agreement that the product is very solid and is really specific and directed clearly to the Commerce City community. So it's a good product, and we're excited to be at this stage with you all. I've got a few slides that are recaps that I think some of you have seen already, but I'll just run through some of this stuff again. When we say project team here, we're referring to the consultant team, which is not just House of Levine, but we had Tetra Tech on board for environmental infrastructure and parks and open space recommendations and policies and those sections of the plan. JR Engineering for transportation and mobility, and Tool Design Group for bike and pedestrian transportation. And then we really worked hard with city staff throughout this process and really view all of us together under the umbrella of project team. So tonight, I just want to really quickly touch on again for you all, if you may have heard this already, but I just want to briefly touch again, why adopt a comprehensive plan? What's the point of all of this? And then, like Jennifer said, I want to go through the revised draft. We were able to revise it since last Monday, kind of incorporating all the feedback we'd heard from that 6 to 8 week period that Jennifer mentioned. Want to go just kind of summarize those revisions and then go to next steps with you all. So again, a comprehensive plan is directed by the Colorado Revised Statutes. It is intended to promote the community's vision, goals, objectives, and policies, establish a process for orderly growth, address current and long-term needs, and provide a balance between the natural and built environment. The Colorado statutes are kind of middle of the road in terms of the statutes at the state level across the country. Some are much more prescriptive when you get toward the West Coast with California and the state of Washington, and really itemize exactly what has to be in a comprehensive plan. Some states don't say much more than you should have a comprehensive plan. And Colorado identifies a few of the specific things that should be in a comprehensive plan. There should be a section on the 3 Mile Plan. It should touch on tourism, but it gives the cities a lot of leeway to really create something that's specific to the community and how the community wants to grow, what the community envisions. So the city of Commerce Cities in the last comprehensive plan was effective May 2010. So when you think about even 2.5 years ago is about the right time to embark on the process of updating. So these are long-term documents. We're looking out about 20 years, but really about every 10 years is when you adopt or when you revise your comprehensive plan. So you think about 2010, some of the things that have changed since then, the housing bubble, thinking about things like broadband as a critical piece of infrastructure, obviously the pandemic, like Jennifer said. So a lot has changed, even as some things have remained the same across the country and in Commerce City. At its core, if you just think of a comprehensive plan in one way, really the way to think about it is a foundation for decision making. So you all are decision makers for the city of Commerce City. City council are decision makers. These are the people who are going to be using the comprehensive plan to inform development proposals, guide that broad range of topics, help tee off additional studies, and really sort of tell the community's story and communicate its vision. Some of the most important things that a comprehensive plan can do are bulleted here. So it can support your CIP when you think about the short-term budget that a city adopts every year, how the city is going to spend its money each year, and what sort of capital improvements it's going to put money towards. The comprehensive plan can help inform that if it has a good action plan and implementation matrix like this one does. Comprehensive plan can look beyond the municipal borders. When you think about things like a regional trail system or intergovernmental agreements, the comprehensive plan can provide some language to inform those things. Really importantly, and I'll touch on this in a minute, it can identify future studies. So the comprehensive plan is sort of an umbrella document, but it's not the end all and be all. And there's several future studies that the plan can tee off and inform. And then lastly, and perhaps most importantly, inform and educate the whole community. So your last comprehensive plan did a good job of this, but if you turn back the clock to 20, 30, 40 years ago, comprehensive plans really were not directed toward the general public. And more of these documents are shifting to be something that anybody should be able to pick up and read, whether you're an entrepreneur or a new business owner or a homeowner looking to purchase your first home in the community. You should be able to pick up this document, understand the direction that the city wants to go. And that's how this one is written. And this takes a lot of cues from your previous one, which was written similarly. And I think this new comprehensive plan makes it even more user friendly, which is always the aim. We want anybody to be able to understand where the city's going. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but 8-step process. It was about a 2.5-year process, all said and done. There's 8 steps, but really a good comprehensive plan really only has to do 3 things. So first, it has to establish where the city is today, sort of the good, the bad, the ugly, and you can see that right front and center, the existing conditions report. We, even during the pandemic, our team came out to the city and did field work, reconnaissance, parcel by parcel, block by block, taking photos, documenting existing land use and existing conditions. We, at the start of the process, we did a lot of community engagement virtually by necessity due to the pandemic. And then as the process carried through, we were able to, things were starting to open up. Staff really took a huge share of the ongoing community engagement and took the draft components and awareness of the plan on the road to events in the park, the various recreation centers, really all over the place. And I'll show you a graphic that displays that in just a second. The how do we want to get there part of this is the vision, goals, and core principles. So we've established the baseline of existing conditions, and then how are we, where do we want to go after that is the vision, goals, and core principles. We know sort of the issues that we have to tackle. Where do we want to go? What do we want to be in 2045? That's really encapsulated in step 5. And then steps 6 through 8 are the how are we going to get there part of this. What sort of things can we do as a city to move the needle and get things done? That's what a comprehensive plan is all about. So again, that results in a structure of a document that includes these parts. So the introductory stuff is really the obviously the introduction, a summary of the outreach and engagement that was conducted, and a community profile, some of those key data points that inform the comprehensive plan. What we might call the plan framework. That's the where do we want to go part of this. It's really the vision, the core principles, goals and objectives, and future land use, a critical part of any comprehensive plan. And in this document, that is called character areas. The core elements of the plan, think of these as the chapters. This is the policy and specific direction that supports the future land use and helps the city achieve that vision. And then lastly, implementation, which sort of ties it all up. There's an implementation action matrix at the end, which can act as a checklist. How are we doing on these policies and recommendations? So if you don't want to read a whole chapter of the plan, or you just need to find a specific recommendation, every recommendation that's in each of the chapters 7 through 12 is found in the implementation action matrix, these specific recommendations that can almost be used like a checklist. And connected corridors is a bit different because it's a graphic and sub area style chapter. So the recommendations are right on the page. So like Jennifer said, there's been a flurry of updates. We really appreciated an engaged council session last Monday. Like Jennifer said, Planning Commission member Kamek was there. He attended and asked several insightful questions, and there was good discussion. And we came away from that, as well as from the sort of 6 to 8 week roadshow period, with several updates. And I just want to quick run through those with you. A lot of the discussion last Monday was about some additional studies. So things like environmental justice came up, and there's I know that the city's embarking on an environmental study. There's 3 other plans that are being sort of teeing off following this comprehensive plan study. There's an economic development strategic plan, transportation master plan, and parks, rec, and golf master plan. And those all can fit underneath the overall direction of the comprehensive plan. So provide that more direct and specific direction that some of the questions were geared toward in council. But other than that, this bulleted list that you see here are the things that we've updated in the past week, working with staff. So photo updates, some updates to the character areas and the land use table, new approach to the core principle call out boxes, or to the call out boxes throughout the plan. Two new specific call out boxes in 2 sections of the document, a handful of new recommendations, and then we made an update to the outreach section of the plan to capture a lot of the outreach points that staff had been working on for the past year or so. So I'm just going to walk you through really quickly. You all had the May 19 draft, and I want to give you a little side by side with the revised August draft, so you know what you're looking at. So you can see we received some new photos from staff, and we worked to incorporate those into the document. In this particular, the cover page, there was some direction to use some photos that were a little greener, a little more exciting, and then a little more people focused, especially that central photo there, not the water tower, but some people out at an outreach event or event in the park. Same thing for the introduction, a little bit more focus on the people, the community. So this new photo is another park event that staff conducted. One council member was concerned about the painted horse in this photo. So it made more sense anyhow to use a photo of outreach and engagement for the cover image of chapter 2. There was some concern throughout the plan that the images were a little industrial and Suncor heavy, so we revised some of these photos, and that really makes sense, especially here in the character areas section of the document. We're thinking a little more aspirationally. 20 years from now, what does new industrial look like? So we replaced some of those photos with some examples from Commerce City and the region. Similar direction for this chapter, the Commerce and Employment chapter, or Economic Development chapter is what it's called in some plans, looking at some more modern logistics and industrial instead of some of that legacy industrial. This is a picture revised, obviously, with a different type of train, but still really relevant to commerce and employment. We updated the land use table. So we merged, we had another column in here. We merged hospitality and travel with commercial. We combined the definitions in the page on land use definitions. I believe this is on page 80 or 81 in your document. And then we made sure that the commercial was included within each and every character area, either as a primary or a secondary use. So again, the structure of the plan is that we established the menu, if you will, of land uses with this table and with the previous page, which identifies each definition. And then if you want to get more in depth about a specific character area, you can go to that area and read through the direction in more detail. So commercial as a primary or secondary in each of the land use or each of the character areas. You'll remember that we have these core principles that are established in the vision, core principles, goals, and objectives section of the plan. There's 4 of them: welcoming and equitable city, safe, healthy, and livable city, economically thriving city, and environmentally responsible city. These are found also in the action matrix. So alongside each and every recommendation of the plan, if applicable, it gets a core principle so that you can see how each of these recommendations is moving these 4 core principles along. And what we did is we pulled these icons into the call out boxes throughout the plan as well. You'll see why that made sense when I show you the updated call out boxes that we added to 2 sections. But really this shows how things like your previous planning effort, your walk, bike, fit plan, how does that fit with these core principles that are in this current document? Efforts like the Second Creek open space restoration or design considerations for public spaces. These things that are carried in from other projects or call outs that we want to highlight as an asset. These are things that we've applied the core principles to also, that this was not in the previous document. One of the directions from council was that there needed to be more of an emphasis on environmental responsibility and environmental justice. So we created this call out box. This is on page 133. In both drafts, the page numbers correspond, so the new draft has the same page numbers. But I'll just read this. The Commerce City community has expressed a need for environmental responsibility and to address pollution and air quality. These concerns are particularly acute in the interface areas between the city's central and southern neighborhoods, the Suncor refinery, and the other large concentrations of industrial uses in the southern part of the community and along its western edge. To address these concerns, the city is conducting an environmental assessment and dedicated study to determine the health and environmental impacts of the refinery and other industrial uses in the community. The comprehensive plan's recommendations and policies support environmental responsibility and the reduction of incompatible land uses. It is anticipated that more detailed study to mitigate environmental issues, address environmental equity, and consider community health will be a part of the separate environmental assessment effort. And then there was another concern at the council level about inclusion and anti-gentrification. So we made a similar call out box to that, something that comprehensive plans are more and more finding themselves working towards. So I'll just read this one as well. Gentrification involves the displacement of longtime residents as new people move in, housing is improved, and new businesses are established. It is a complex issue with no easy solutions, but there are several ways Commerce City can anticipate and address its negative impacts, including protecting and investing in affordable housing, supporting and partnering with community-based tenant and resident organizations, promoting diversity and inclusion in each of the city's neighborhoods. The policies and recommendations found in the Housing and Neighborhoods chapter fit with this direction and are intended to support, not displace, the people and cultural institutions that rely on the city's attainable neighborhoods. So each of these call-out boxes, neither of these is new, new out of the blue content for the plan. They highlight and sort of just bring to the surface, the direction for these chapters. So the chapter on commerce and employment, and the whole plan really includes, I would say, an environmental responsibility and equity theme that threads throughout, and we called it out in the commerce and employment section, particularly because of those legacy industrial uses. And likewise, this call out, it reflects some of the direction that was already in the chapter and calls it out in a call out box, applies those core principles, and shows how emphasizes how the chapter is working toward these things. We also heard about some specific recommendations that should be established. And again, these page numbers are the same, I believe, in both plans. This may be the one that's on a different page than it was previously, just due to some layout revisions. But this is either on page 128 or 129 in your current draft. We added one new recommendation about making it easy to do business throughout the city, streamlining the permitting process and providing resources. This really reflected Planning Commissioner Kamick's direction to make sure that we're considering the workforce and new businesses in all parts of the community. Another new recommendation about involving the city's lower income and minority populations in environmental decision-making, ensuring everyone has a voice. This really goes along with that call out. But this is about making sure that as decisions are made about industrial land uses, freight transportation, that the whole community is able to weigh in on those important factors. Again, we're thinking long range here, so conceivable that over the coming years, some of these land uses may shift, and we want to involve everybody in that decision-making process as that occurs. Again, some direction that came directly out of the meetings that we've been having over the past couple of weeks, about recognizing the tribes and the Native communities where Commerce City is located. And then in a similar vein, using the city's public art program to celebrate the region's tribes, Native communities, and indigenous cultures, and working with organizations like the Colorado Commission of Indian Affairs to vet public art and encourage festivals and educational programs that reflect that influence that's prominent around Commerce City and throughout Colorado. This is a big one. We've been saying along through this past 6 to 8 weeks that the completed outreach graphic on the left was a placeholder. It definitely was. You can see that staff did an incredible amount of work over the past year or so, getting the word out about this this process. So there's a lot of ways to slice and dice outreach like this. But the takeaway is that this is, I could say with pretty high level of confidence that this outreach has had more points of engagement than most of our House of Levine planning processes, despite the fact that a lot of it was conducted during the pandemic, and that we had a few bumps in the road. I think the community can really lean on the fact that this was a community-driven process. I've said it all along that is our firm's most important goal when we go into a project is not that it's a new House of Levine plan for Commerce City, but that it really is the community's plan. And you can see right here, over 1,500 in-person engagements, 27,000 newsletters sent out, 18 total meetings with the Citizens Advisory Committee and the staff working groups, 5 workshops with Council and Planning Commission, 5 workshops with agency and partner organizations, over 6,000 clicks on the comprehensive plan website. So it really was a process that took advantage of every possible way to communicate with the community. And I think you can see from flipping through this document that it's as a result, it's specific to Commerce City, and it's not a boilerplate template document. It's something that hopefully the community can use successfully for years to come. So I guess I'll pause here. I'll take any questions about that stuff, and then I just have one more slide for next steps.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Douglas. Thank you for your presentation. I had a question. You showed all the districts. Could you go back to that slide where it shows the number of districts?
Are you talking about this one, right?
Right, or character areas. You know,
Right.
on here, I don't see anything that deals with art. Is that the Fusion District?
Well, art could be in any one of these districts. These are, this is just a different way of looking at a future land use map. So this table really goes alongside the character areas and land uses section of the plan. So that's really, this table is really about land use. There
right.
is a map in the culture, tourism, and art section of the plan. I don't have that page in front of me, but I may be able to open it. But there is a map of the art installations throughout the city, the currently existing ones, I believe. And there's specific policies and recommendations for public art.
All right.
Mr. Douglas, is your question about public art or about like uses
Well-
that would allow art
Yeah, I could say land use.
studios and things
Yeah.
like that?
So to me, the stadium district would be a good example of incorporating an art district, like Rhino. But here we have the stadium district, you know, really trying to incorporate and entertain and not just waiting for an event, a sport event to happen, but also, you know, through the week and through the month, through the year, be very active and being close to a transportation corridor. And this being a blank slate over here, and we're talking 2045, I would like to see this more innovative and thinking out of the box and not just rigid. So, no, that's just my comment about that. Just, you know, putting the column for art and how you could incorporate that, because we are missing that here in Commerce City. I can tell you that right now.
If I may, I don't disagree that that would be a great addition, right? I would just add as a reminder that following the comp plan, right, which is a very high level future land use from a big perspective, coming very soon to you all, actually, next week, would be the follow-up with the update to the land development code, right, which we'll actually talk about zoning districts, which actually get into specific land uses. And so I would just say, I think from a high-level perspective, you know, some type of art gallery or art installation or even art colony could potentially fit into a variety of these very big high-level categories. But as we get into actual zoning districts, that's when I think we can really get into those types of details to talk about very specific uses and where they're appropriate or what parameters should be in place and things like that. So just as a little additional context there.
Okay, and then I know there's like 13 different areas within the comp plan. And so the transportation in the parks have not been gone through yet, right, Josh?
At a comprehensive plan level, yes, they have. There's a transportation chapter.
Okay.
And there's a Parks and Recreation and Open Space chapter in this plan.
All right.
So you think of at a comprehensive plan level, you're sort of setting up the guide rails and the things that we all agree on for transportation at a citywide level, and then your transportation master plan is going to drill down into that in a lot more detail. You talk about things like, and I'm not a transportation planner, but level of service analysis and mode share and specific new bikeway extensions. Your new transportation master plan, when that process gets rolling, will dig deep into that sort of stuff. And it's at a similar level for parks, recreation, and open space. That document can dig into those things at a more detailed level than we can really get at the comprehensive plan chapter level. But those chapters are in here. I wanted to just, sorry to jump back. I wanted to just really quickly say there's a section on public art with policies and recommendations for public art on pages 164 and 165 of the plan.
Okay.
But Mr. Douglas, you're correct. There will be follow-up full master plans for the 3 areas mentioned, right? Transportation master plan, which we'll get into a much greater level of detail. Parks, Rec, and Golf master plan, which I believe is just kicking off. And then also an economic development strategic plan. So there are chapters that touch on each of those, and they provide some really high-level direction, but all 3 of those are I'll say in the queue. I don't know. I know that Parks and Rec plan has started. The other 2, I think, are coming very, very quickly as well.
All right. Thank you.
I do have a question in the housing and neighborhood section, page 141. I don't know if we can bring that up or not. But I'm cautious to frame this the way that I think that it reads. So there's a bullet point that reads under mix of housing, promote adaptive reuse of older or underutilized industrial buildings in residential areas into unique housing options. And I'm kind of focusing in a little bit on unique housing options. So my mind immediately goes to the Irondale area. And in the Irondale area, you have single-family homes that are in industrial areas. So right there in the middle, I think it's the second bullet point, where this is exactly contrary, in my opinion, to have an industrial building into unique housing options of what we're trying to do in the Irondale area. So taking the residential out of the industrial area, this is industrial building. And I guess where I'm going with this, and this might be a conversation for next week, is the zone district. So the question really is, what zone district would a congregate homeless encampment be allowed? Is that considered a unique housing option?
I think there's a couple things in there. This recommendation is particularly geared toward, neighborhoods. This is in the housing chapter. So if you put this alongside the residential areas, these are areas where there is or could be some housing identified. So think of this as like another drill down from the overall character areas map. So when we talk about adaptive reuse, we're usually
Industrial lofts
opposite.
is what comes to my mind.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of the opposite of the example you highlighted, which is not one house in an industrial area, but the opposite, where there's one industrial building in a residential area. And over the long term, if that's an active industrial building, if it's doing loading and unloading, for example, on a residential street or near a school or something like that, long-term, you may want to make sure that you have the policies in place to where if that's a solid brick building or something that's worth saving, you want, and that user or owner sells or goes away, you may want to preserve that building and be able to turn it into housing. And sometimes there can be some stuff on the books that can keep that from happening. So that's what this is about. It's about those sort of standalone industrial uses that are no longer really fit with the neighborhood.
Thank you. But so I guess more around staff, the unique housing option, keyword unique. Again, I'm still thinking about this high density congregate homeless encampment hotel type of deal would not be ruled out in that statement.
So I think there's a couple of things there. First of all, I just want to ask, are you reading congregate homelessness from somewhere that I don't see?
No, I'm
Okay.
I'm basing this off experience in
Okay.
another municipality.
Okay, that helps.
Where where
You're right, that's happening a
looking-
lot in Denver, right? They're redeveloping old hotels to be this solution or attempted solution to some homelessness issues.
Correct.
So I think the bullet that we just discussed about adaptive reuse of industrial buildings, I really think that's aiming at being open to the idea of these like industrial lofts, right? You see that, right? Old factories sometimes make these really cool high-end lofts and things like that. I don't know that we have any buildings that totally fit that right now. There are some cool old buildings that, again, in the future, as the area is redeveloped, who knows? In the far future, again, we're looking, decades out, that could even mean some of these, right, like warehousing buildings, that might develop in another way. It might could be used in a new way. It's really just trying to be open to options. I think it's talking about unique options, being open to exploring them. I don't think it's trying to nail down specifically we need to move the homeless community to old industrial buildings. I don't think that's what it's trying to say at all. I think it's just trying to say, be open to considering some unique ideas, right? We heard that a lot from our Citizens Advisory Committee in particular. There's some various examples, right, in Denver, even at the old Stapleton Airport, right, where they took these old buildings that were used in another way and then repurposed them. So I think that's really what it's getting at, just being open to that without trying to require it, without trying to dictate it. And you're right, there would certainly have to be zoning in place, right? Some very interesting zoning, potentially, some PUDs or something to accommodate something like that. It's really just trying to keep people's minds open, right? That there could be new things that work in the future that don't right now. And we did really hear that people wanted to keep some buildings. We don't have a lot of historical buildings. We do have some. Or some, obviously they get older every day, right? There's examples in places where people even turn things like post offices, right? And things like that into some type of residential. So it's really just trying to keep that on the table as something to consider versus scraping everything and building new.
Yes, thank you.
Andrew, because when I saw that, that's exactly what I was thinking, was actually really excited by that bullet point, not thinking how you were defining it. I was like, yes, that's absolutely what we should be staying open to as conversation continues to develop, but not thinking about exactly what you said, which is the other direction, something like that.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer, and the commissioners for the conversation around the intent of that statement. So I'm feeling a lot better around that than what I was when I originally read that and where that intent could be, just because of the broad, open statement of unique housing options. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And I think it's just, we're very of the mindset, right, of these single-family attached, single-family detached, and multifamily, right? There are more housing options than those. And so I think it's really just trying to, let the zoning, let the market show us, right, what some other creative things could be. As a reminder, the comp plan is not regulatory, right? So it's just laying the groundwork, opening up those ideas. There would have to be zoning and things like that in place. So even if there's something in here that's, right, what's exciting to one person can be scary to another person, right, based on how we interpret it. But just know everything, right, is still going to go through review and things like that. So it could be really cool. Again, finding the exact right building is probably the hardest part, but you never know.
Thank you for that.
Of course. Josh, did you have another couple of slides you wanted to finish up before we get further into discussion?
All I had was the sort of the closing slide. So,
Okay.
let me get back to it. Yeah, next steps tonight are just the staff requested recommendation to the planning commission. And then if that, following that, it would be approval and adoption meeting with city council on August 21st.
Thank you, Josh. Mr. Chairman, I think it'd be up to you if you all want to have the conversation here so that you can continue to see slides, or if you'd prefer to move back to your seats.
Yes, I think since we are here able to see the presentation, it's a good idea for us to have a conversation around what was presented to us tonight. And then I don't know that our voting is working as well, so we might just have to do
We can
roll
go
call
old
vote.
school, call you out and let you vote by
Yes.
voice if we need to, or we can raise our hands, whatever works.
I'm just thinking about the audience. If anyone's in the audience, then they're not able to see us, but they can hear us. So I'm totally okay with
Sure.
just roll call by person if we need to. So
Absolutely.
I would recommend that we stay in our positions right now and have conversation about the presentation and next steps.
Sounds good.
Do I have any commissioners that would like to comment what was outlined tonight in the changes or anything related to the comprehensive plan? Commissioner Douglas.
Thank you. Joshua, so this is just going to be the draft. As far as final, it wouldn't be until everything is done, like the transportation and the other different areas, to make this a complete comprehensive plan. Is that correct?
So the comprehensive plan document is a complete document. It would be considered final upon council's approval, right? Approval of second reading of the ordinance. Those additional plans are standalone plans. We think that they're complementary and they go really well together, and it makes sense to do them sort of sequentially like this. But this would be a standalone document. It does include a chapter about transportation, a chapter about housing, a chapter about all of those things. So once approved by council, it would be final. All the drafts would come off. It would say, adopted or effective this date.
And what's that timeline? Are we talking this year or next year being complete with the other components?
So we are hoping that council votes on the comp plan itself, a first reading on the 21st. That would
Okay.
be second reading in September. And then those other plans are, about 12 months each, so
Okay.
kind of depending on where they start. I believe, I shouldn't quote things when I don't remember exactly. I believe the Parks and Rec plan, though, is expected to be completed by next summer.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, for the outline there. And I think about this as the word semantics, especially architecturally speaking. When we say 100% construction documents, I always call it 100% progress, just because we know that there's going to be shop drawings to detail in more of the construction documents, and that happens later on down the road. So thank you for the clarification on that. I'm feeling pretty comfortable just with the presentation tonight. So I would just want to see if any other commissioners have any communication. Commissioner Biltoff.
I do have one question. Jennifer, do you have a full list, or do you know what the full list of the other plans that will be pursued
Yes.
pursuant to the comp plan? Could you just
Yes, sir.
list those?
It's those three that was mentioned. It's the transportation master plan. That'll be guided by our public works city engineer. So that's the one. Parks, Rec, and Golf master plan, which has already been started. They were at our parks, and if anyone was at the Music in the Park a couple of weeks ago, they were there having citizens vote on the types of amenities that they wanted to see, right? Some of that engagement we talked about. And then the third piece is an economic development strategic plan. So those are the three sort of subsequent plans to follow the comp plan.
Thank you.
Of course.
Those are some heavy lifts.
Yes.
All right. Do I have any other commissioner communication remarks? Seeing none, I guess it's a recommendation, not a vote, right?
It is a vote. The planning commission makes a recommendation to council, so it would be a vote by this group, we would obviously love to see a positive recommendation, a recommendation for approval. I would just add, before you all vote, that it's intended to be a living document, right? It can be amended moving forward. The character areas, that's a very broad, those are not intended to be parcel specific. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, right? Those are intended to be areas, right? And so there can be open to interpretation and things like that. If that needs to be amended in the future, if there are new things, that emerge, revisions to this are possible, right? You all have seen that probably in the past. We obviously like to use what we have rather than changing it all the time, and we think that it is built to be flexible, but I do want you to know it's a living document. It can be amended, and it would be recommended to be updated, right, about 7-ish years from now. Again, building on this and then seeing how we need to modernize it again. So I just think it's important to remember, it's not a once and done. It is, but it's not, right? And then this will really set the foundation for that land development code update that is well underway as well and coming to you. That will, this has set the stage to build those new zoning districts and update the development standards and all of the things, right, that we've learned over the past 12 years or so as the world has changed and development has changed. That's really where we get into those nitty-gritty specifics. And so I just like to remind everybody of that.
Yes, thank you for the clarification. So I'm just going to look to my right and I'm going to look to my left, seeing no more communication from the commissioners. Can I please get a motion? I'm going to leave it like that.
I move that that we approve the comp plan for approval by the city council.
That sounds good to me.
I would just clarify, you're making a recommendation to the city council to recommend approval, right? Matt, I believe our esteemed city attorney's office is going to make
I
a
think what
statement.
I heard him say is that he's making a motion to recommend approval of the comprehensive plan by city council.
That's correct.
Wonderful.
Can I get a second? Commissioner Douglas, second. Now can we get a roll call vote?
Board Member Van Dyke,
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas,
Yes.
Commissioner Japp,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Biltoff,
Yes.
Chairperson Amador.
Yes.
All approved. Thank you.
All approve, 5 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain. Motion to recommend the comprehensive plan for Commerce City for 2045 is approved. Congratulations, staff. It's a big
Thank you
milestone.
very much. Only took us 3 years.
All right. Well, we didn't ask if there was anybody on the virtual comment, but I didn't know that there was anybody there. No? Not necessary. All right. Do we have any commission business?
No other business I'm aware of.
Do we have any attorney business?
No, sir.
And I know there's one more. Do we have any, is it
Staff.
business?
Yes, we do.
Yay.
I just wanted to thank you all for coming tonight and hearing this. Again, I know it's been a long time coming. We have, I think, worked really hard on it. I think it'll be a good plan for the city. And again, as we mentioned, the Land Development Code Update Project is also well underway. You all, I believe, received an email from me, I think at the end of last week, outlining that we would like to have a special meeting next Thursday, August 10th, because our Land Development Code update consultants would be in town and they would like to present to you all and really start talking about those zoning districts, what that update will include, all of those details. That would be the only item of the night. It would be a study session, so no formal action would be required. It's just discussion, asking questions. There's really a lot to it. And so I think you all will be really interested in sort of, that really gets to the heart of a lot of these issues, right? So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. If you all are open, well, they will be here. So I have heard from several of you that you are available and can attend, but that would be next Thursday night. And I do want to apologize. I know we've had a number of extra meetings recently. We have a lot of big projects going on, and it's just a matter of timing. But that we do not have any business for September. So if you all can make an extra meeting next week, then we would probably, I won't guarantee it, but probably not see you again until October.
Yes, I believe the staff has polled everyone, and you're gathering the data, but I can tell you that I am available, and I've seen other communications for next Thursday that works for some of the commissioners. So I'll just let staff run that
Okay.
business, but it's anticipated for sure next
Thank you all so
Thursday,
much.
the 10th.
Yeah.
So, that's all that I believe that we have. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.